On the next example, you and I will see how we form the molecule of water, which is a very important molecule for physiology. Bottom line is 60% of human body is made of water. And by all means, we can say this is the most abundant form of a molecule that we will ever encounter. Needless to say, just not inside a human body, but inside bodies of all other living creatures, including covering huge surface of this planet. So let's take a look at the picture that illustrates it, and I believe that we can generate sufficient information to understand it a bit better. So we have here oxygen that we know would be made of 8 protons in its nucleus, accompanied by 8 electrons circulating in the orbit shell. So we're going to have this situation that first electron shell does have 2, and the second electron shell should have 6. So to make it stable 8, we would need 2 extra electrons somehow to be gained. That is where hydrogen atoms with a single electron in their single electron shell would also be looking for making some form of a molecule where eventually they are going to have 2 electrons circulating around the nucleus of hydrogen atoms, and that will be done with idea of joining them together, one oxygen with 2 hydrogen atoms into molecule of water. So technically this is going to happen. This is why we call it covalent bonding. Basically it is sharing a pair of electrons, which you can see on the right side of the screen. These 2 electrons are shared between overlapping orbits of oxygen atom part of molecule and the hydrogen part of the molecule, which is here. So on the basis of shared pair of electrons, we're seeing number of different compounds or molecules, in particularly in the world of organic chemistry, that are created with this kind of principle in the background. Let's share. You have what I also want to have. You want me to give you, I want you to give me. So it doesn't work because this is something that we could have seen in ionic bonding. Here, number of different chemical elements prefer not to give, not to take away, but rather to get involved in the process of sharing. So this really made hydrogen having 2 electrons that are shared with outermost electron of oxygen. So we have here 3 and 3, 6, and these 2 are making it 8. Outermost shell of the oxygen part of the molecule is saturated with electrons. One and only electron shell of hydrogen is also saturated. So this is that kind of win-win situation. But you can also see something that I need you to recognize. Molecule of water, which is made of 1 oxygen and 2 hydrogen. What is inside the nucleus of these hydrogen atoms, part of molecule? Just 1 proton. And within the nucleus of an oxygen, we had 8 of them. So 8 versus 1. Obviously that electrical attraction of 8 positively charged particles for the electrons is 8 times greater than what a single proton can generate as the attraction for pair of electrons. So this is very much at the level of theory, but it really means this, that molecule of water, due to this balance of its positive charges, one end is really positive, this is where oxygen is, and the other one is a little bit less positive, this is where we have hydrogen atoms attached to it. It is going to have different attraction to electrons, which means they're going to more frequently orbit around the oxygen, and this part of the molecule will have, relatively speaking, some kind of negativity, whereas this end, where you see either of the two hydrogen atoms, will be attracting electrons a little bit less. Therefore, this part of the molecule will become more positively charged. So in essence, basically, it's the same structure that has positive and negative end of it. Equivalent of that is a battery, a size battery. It has the positive and the negative end, and you realize that there is a little bit of a charge between these two. So we would technically say there is also a charge of this molecule if we can just measure it. But overall, the molecule has electrical neutrality, but it's polarized, which means that one part of the molecule will be more positive, the other part of the molecule will be more negative, and that quality is what we need in order to understand how is that possible that water is the universal solvent that the human body needs to have.